Hey guys, Travis here. I'm so excited to be back because I finally get to share with you everything that I've been working on over the last 6 months. Starting with this 4-part series on how you formulate your worldview. So this is about how you try to answer the big questions like, is there a God? What happens after we die? Is there a soul? And there are, of course, countless ways to try to answer this question, but they can all basically be divided into two categories. The first is faith-based thinking, which says belief that is not based on or altered by knowledge, unquestioning belief. Compare these two statements. You could say, I believe in Harvey Dent because based on what I've seen of him, I've observed him up to now. I've seen him be reliable and honest and he's on our side. So what I know about Harvey Dent leads me to believe that he's going to be a good leader in the future. I believe in Harvey Dent. Or you could say, I have faith in Harvey Dent. So this says, I can't really explain why, but I just have a really good feeling about the guy. The key thing to understand about faith is that there's no reason to believe one thing or another because faith doesn't exist in the realm of reason and logic. It exists because we need to believe something to get through the day. Think about that moment when you're driving through the snow in the middle of the night and your car starts to slide and you see that you're about to go off into a lake and you cry out to God to save you. Jesus, take the wheel. Your beloved grandfather just died and you miss him terribly and you need to know that someday you'll see him again. Or you just lost your job. Life doesn't make sense and you need to know that there's some broader divine plan and that it's all going to work out in the end. Faith is going to give you the answer to those questions. Is going to reassure you. This is one of the most powerful lessons I've ever learned, that the human mind will believe whatever it needs to believe. So again, faith isn't interested in the evidence or the reason. It's interested in giving you hope. It's interested in fear management. Robert Brault wrote, if you listed all the reasons for your faith and all the things that make you cry, it would essentially be the same list. The more dangerous forms of faith continue to believe in something even when the evidence conflicts with it. So you take something like the theory of evolution. The evidence supporting the theory of evolution has become overwhelming. And now science has been built on evolution to the point that it's really difficult to participate in some scientific fields like biology if you're not an evolutionist. But some people still reject it, not because of the evidence, but because the theory of evolution conflicts with what they're reading in the Bible. They're taking their beliefs about biology on faith. It can be really frustrating to try to talk to, say, a young Earth creationist and try to present evidence supporting evolution, because at first they might engage with you a little, they might cherry pick certain pieces of evidence that seem to support creationism, but ultimately they're going to back off and just say, well, God said that this is what happened, and I believe that. Nothing's going to change my mind. And it can be profoundly frustrating if you're not a faith-based thinker, but what you have to understand is a faith-based thinker isn't interested in the evidence. They're believing what they need to believe. If faith is how you function, you can't entertain doubt. You have to have a strong, devout conviction, and evidence for something like evolution is often going to put people on the defensive because what they're hearing is there isn't a reason you lost your job. Nobody's going to save you when the car goes off the road. And you're not going to get to see Grandpa someday. He's just gone. And that's horrifying. And so the human mind is just reaching for any possible reason to reject that evidence. James Lendell Basford wrote in Sparks from the Philosopher's Stone, doubts are leaks which sink the ship of faith. So if you embrace a faith-based system, just get out of the conversation. All you can really say is, I choose to believe this without reason. But it would be ludicrous to ask someone else to then change their beliefs to match your faith. Contrast with the second approach to worldview, which is knowledge-based thinking, which says beliefs are based on knowledge. Now, if you're a knowledge-based thinker, then beliefs can be modified when you are presented with new information. If you don't have enough information, if you don't have knowledge on a topic, then you have no corresponding belief. And it also means that there's plenty of room to debate and get closer to the truth without anyone feeling defensive. Of course, the spiritual form of knowledge-based thinking is agnosticism, which says, basically, by definition, we don't have any knowledge of the supernatural, and therefore I have no beliefs about the supernatural. There are these 4 layers to how you build your worldview, and agnosticism is the first of those layers, having the intellectual humility to acknowledge that we don't know. Suppose that it's the medieval ages, and somebody says, the world was created by the rat king who lives on the moon. Now, a faith-based thinker might say, yes, I choose to believe this, even though I don't have any knowledge of it. A knowledge-based thinker will say, I don't have any beliefs about the rat king. Maybe there is a rat king, maybe there isn't. How could we possibly know? Because our observation of the moon is so primitive, we can't tell. But then time goes on, and our ability to observe the moon gets more and more sophisticated. And we don't see any sign of life, and no rat palaces. A dangerous form of faith says, I still believe that there is a rat king who lives on the moon, and I reject the science that seems to conflict with it. A less dangerous, what I might call a useless faith, says, I'm just going to pick a new unverifiable belief. Like, the rat king moved to Neptune because he was angry with us. But a knowledge-based thinker, an agnostic, will say, the rat king probably doesn't exist. And that brings us to the second layer in our worldview. But that is a topic for another time. Thanks for watching.